Hi, good evening. Welcome to Sports Today. You are live with me, Rajashri Gupta and Boria Mujumdar, of course, and the fans from the two teams. Kolkata Knight Riders versus Punjab Kings tonight. Very, very important game for both teams. KKR, of course, are firmly in the race for that playoff spot. They're looking very strong. In fact, if they win the two out of the three remaining games and a couple of other results go their way, they are looking very good to seal that fourth playoff spot, assuming Delhi, Chennai, and Bangalore also go through. And of course, we're also going to talk about the women's game in pretty good position. Of course, rain played spoil sport again, a historic 100 for Smriti Mandana. Poonam Raut walking off, that has stirred up quite a debate too. And of course, Smriti Mandana reacted to that. We'll go straight up to Boria. Boria, this has been a very strong start from the India women in this day and test match, historic 100 from Smriti Mandana. But again, that Poonam Rao dismissal, the umpire didn't give her out, but she walked out because she thought she'd nicked it. And Smriti Mandana later said, "We first wondered why she's walking off, but she's earned a lot of respect among her teammates." And W.V. Raman also tweeted to that effect, saying that I would have appreciated her. Your first thoughts on
This walking is always a real contentious issue. Firstly, I've watched the match in entirety, so I will be able to talk to you about the context. So you asked about 276 for 5 at the end of day 2. Clearly the match is drifting towards a draw. Number 1 tells you it should be a 5-day game, not a 4-day game. Third, it tells you, it has way exceeded my expectations. Firstly, pink ball losing the toss against Darcy Brown, Stella Campbell, Elise Perry, and of course Talia McGrath. I thought, oh Lord, what's happening to India? And all of a sudden, you see that start of 100, and then everyone contributing. Poonam, Mithali, Yastika, everyone 30, 30, 30. Everyone sort of complimenting Shruti Mandana with the Deepti still out there. So it's been superb from India. Fantastic from India. If India gets to 350, one would have said, oh, there's one winner, and that's India. So it's that good from here on. Coming to the Poonam Rao thing, if you look at that ball, Sophie Molyneux bowls it, Alyssa Healy goes up, and then even Alyssa Healy is unsure. You see the reaction, goes up, looks at the umpire, and the camera angle, they've showed multiple angles. Sophie Molyneux is down like this, looking at the umpire, and the umpire's nodding. The umpire's clearly not. Poonam Rao by then had started. She's walking off towards short third, going towards point rather, and she kept looking back, walked off.
Yeah.
Now, how do you look at this? Let me say this. Of course, it is an individual call. Absolutely an individual call. But if Yuvraj doesn't walk, if Shalin doesn't walk, are they doing the game any harm? No. It is absolutely within their right not to walk off. If the umpire has not given you out, you are absolutely entitled to stand your ground and not walk off, because that's why the umpire is there. That's why the rules are there. You are playing by the rules. If you are playing by the rules, you are absolutely entitled to not walking off. You know what? This cricket being a gentleman's game, gentleman, gender bias notwithstanding, don't even get me to that. That's a different game. But this cricket being a gentleman's game, gentlewoman's game, whatever it is the biggest rubbish. The spirit of the game fact was never right. W.G. Grace, he challenged the umpire when he was bowled first ball, saying introduce the movement. He was the biggest amateur or a professional using his amateur status to earn money. Body line, Jardine would never have used body line had he been playing within the spirit of the game law. He was playing to win, damn it, and that's what you should do in sport. So, and I can give you 200 examples since. I think the spirit of the game debate is extremely overrated. Cricket has never been a spirit of the game thing. It has always been about winning, and that's what it is in high performance sport. So while I appreciate Poonam Rao, but I don't think Poonam Rao is an example, nor do I think if anybody doesn't walk, he or she should now be told, oh, look at Poonam Rao. No, it's an entirely personal call, and that's how it should be left.
Shivshri Malik is asking Boria never walk away, especially against the Aussies, because they would never do that. And Amy herself said in commentary that she wouldn't walk. I mean, you can't really be selective against which team you're walking off and not if you're doing that. Adam Gilchrist walked off too, by the way, when he was an Australian.
Yeah, but Adam Gilchrist did not walk, or did not what is walking? What is walking? It is an index of ethicality and morality that you are imposing on the game. That's what it is. So I'm walking because I believe in that particular code of ethics. When Adam Gilchrist takes a catch which is completely not a catch of Rahul Dravid during that Monkey Gate Test match, standing one foot behind the stump when Steve Bucknor gives it out. Why didn't Adam Gilchrist not say it was not out? Why is it a case of double standards in the case of Adam Gilchrist? What does it say about Adam Gilchrist walking and the same man doing this? So don't give me this bull about about spirit and ethics. Poonam Rao, I actually agree. Would I have walked? No. No. The spirit of the cricket thing is completely overrated. But Poonam wanted to walk. My respects to her, it's an individual call. Do not impose this moral police on anyone and say, oh, he's right or she's right. That is not the case.
Absolutely. No, I mean, there's, and it is up to each individual. And Poonam Rao decided to walk. And Smriti Bandana's reaction was actually, I quite liked what she said. She said, I don't know why she walked, and we were all wondering what happened. And later, when we realized that she thought she was out, she decided there was a lot of respect from the teammates, as would be the case. But Boria, before we move on to that game, but what did you individually think of the dismissal on replay on first glance? What did you think of the dismissal? Would you have been surprised too had you been standing at the other end?
No, and the umpire didn't give it out. There was no conclusive proof, and there's no DRS. So obviously, when you are playing to a game, you know there is no DRS. You've got to wait.
Right.
Think of that second ODI. 48.1 Rajeshwari Gaikwad. That was plum LBW. What did the Aussies do? They took a run, and that run won them the game. They didn't walk. I mean, it was damn plum, man. It was plum. They took advantage of the fact that there is no DRS. Now, no one works in an LBW. That's fine. But they took an advantage of the fact that there is no DRS. And here, Poonam Raut was in a very good partnership at that point in time. Why? But again, that's her personal call. And I respect that personal call. So do not let's put moral yardsticks on people. And let me also make it spicier, this show, before Yuvraj and Shalin steps in. It's their show. As far as the other can of worms is David Warner. Now, I'm going to give Yuvraj and Shalin a scenario. People have been asking me left, right, center, was Warner allowed in the ground? Was he not allowed in the ground? The answer is he wasn't allowed in the ground, is what my sources tell me. Now, who are my sources? I'm not going to reveal who my sources are. Having said that, think about this. Kane Williamson or Jason Roy gets injured in practice. Can happen. Anyone can get injured in practice. Now, if they get injured in practice, is Warner going to play? No. He's not even in the ground. If he's not even in the ground, what does that tell you? Sunrisers Hyderabad will not let David Warner play again, is my understanding. Now, my basic English understanding is Warner's IPL career with Sunrisers Hyderabad is over. Because even if the others get injured, he is not even in the ground to play. Now, somebody wants to dispute me. It's an open thing on our show. Let somebody from Sunrisers Hyderabad management come and clarify. And the other thing I want to say here, Tom Moody is there. David Warner goes as captain. Tom Moody sacked. David Warner back as captain. Tom Moody returns. Warner again gone. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Tom Moody gone. Warner back as captain last year. Tom Moody back. Warner vanished. What is going on? Is it Moody versus Warner? Mildly put. Will Tom come and clarify what's going on in that setup? Will somebody come and clarify? According to me, if David Warner is there in the ground, the brand is built. Fans will watch. Television will see him. Sunrisers as a brand will benefit. By not having him in the ground, they are losing out. I've spoken a lot. Go to our two guests.
Right. No, this is an ongoing development, right? And like you said, Boria, once David Warner is free to speak to you, I'm sure he'll come on sports today. That will be very interesting. Those insights would be worth noting. What's really going on? But Yuvraj, I'll start with you. This is a big game coming up for both the Knight Riders and Punjab. Knight Riders are in a better position heading into this game. The problems just seem to escalate for Punjab. They don't know how to close off matches. Chris Gale wasn't doing much. Obviously, he's past his prime, but him exiting the bio bubble, what sort of impact is that going to have? KL Rahul's captaincy, his performances, that's all going to be the focal point for the remaining three games.
See, surprisingly, this time around, things have been different for us. We are a side that has been known for our aggressive batting, bold power play scores since the history. But because we are no longer like that much connected with our Kings 11 roots now, it has become completely different. Like now, bowl better than we used to before, and then finish things off like not the way you expect professional cricket teams. But one thing as a super fan is that anyone's inclusion or exclusion from the squad has never bothered me as a person because It's the club you love. It's the franchise you love. It's not the players, because being someone who has supported this franchise under someone with as moderate of IPL numbers as Murli Vijay, someone under David Miller. So it has never really bothered me as a super fan. My support only strengthens to the side, even if anyone leaves. But yes, one thing is for sure that Chris Gale could have delivered at least one match-winning innings for us had he been allowed to play alongside KL Rahul as an opener. But because he was playing at number three, um, I did not even expect them to give him a chance at the opening either. So I think that is the reason he left out, and bio bubble could possibly just a cover up to hide that reason.
Okay, before I come to Shalin, you think Punjab missed a beat Boria by not getting Gale to open alongside KL Rahul because any.
100% right. Yuvraj is 200% right, especially when you don't have Mayank Agarwal playing for you. You go with a Mandeep Singh who scores a 15 ball 15. Is Mandeep Singh a better bet to open or Chris Gale? The jury is out there. If you do not want to take that option, you have the result that you get.
Right. And of course, he was out with a stiff neck. Punjab would be hoping he comes back tonight. Big game. But Shalin, you'd be a
Yeah.
little more comfortable than Yuvraj. But not all is not well with the Knight Riders setup still. You have Morgan's form. Some of his captaincy calls have been debatable. Andre Russell is not fit. That lineup is still looking jittery. Obviously, there's debate whether Shakib should come in at any stage. Should Morgan drop himself in? That has also been a question. He's not doing anything in the middle order, Shalin.
Yeah, Morgan's form is a bit of a concern. So Shakib would be a good call, but as we all know that there are three matches left right now. So leaving captaincy right now would badly impact the team's performance because Morgan's been there for 11 matches. So dropping him now would be a crucial call, and now DK would lead the side well. But we'll need to get two overseas, one for Andre Russell and one for Morgan. So one is Shakib and one is Ben Cutting, and two of them coming under immense pressure of qualifying. They need to win all three matches with their faith in their hands. But if they lose one, they have to win two out of three. Obviously, they have a good net run rate, but that one loss will pressurize them. So Morgan right now, to drop Morgan wouldn't be a very good call. I know his form is not going good, but Morgan has to play because he has led the side till here, and from here on he has to lead the side till the end. And next year they should hope that they get an Indian captain to lead their side.
No, and in fact, just to clarify that qualification scenario, Knight Riders can go through if they win even two out of the remaining three matches, but they'll have to hope that either RCB or MI finish with less than 16 points. And because of the superior net run rate, they have that advantage over Punjab Kings, who, by the way, even if they win the remaining three matches with 14 points, are still not going to be assured of chance in the playoffs unless there is a couple of other results go their way, and those teams also finish in 14 points. And Yuvraj will hope that that net run rate works out for Punjab. But Boria, are you in agreement there with Shalin? Around Morgan's form. Is this a case now? Is this, would you say, with three games to go and with a do or die scenario around the Knight Riders, that there is a decision that needs to be taken on Morgan, or will that be too much of a rush call?
Yeah, but at the same time, you've got to think: are you going in with a player shot? I mean, are you taking a risk that okay, I've got an non-performing asset in my middle order who's got to play because he's captain? If that is the case, then that's a big call you're taking. Not every day will a Venkatesh Iyer fire. And if one day your middle order is asked to, and if the captain doesn't step up, you might just lose and go out of the tournament. This is a tricky one. I know where Shalin's coming from, and I appreciate it. But if you ask me, how much will it impact if DK captains? Minimal, according to me. If you have a performing middle order asset like a Shakib or a Ben Cutting or whoever that is, play him. Ultimately, it's 11 players. You need 11 top players in there, unless you're an MS Dhoni. Morgan is no MS Dhoni. We've seen that with the Prasidh Krishna over. We've seen that on multiple occasions. If you're an MS Dhoni who will get 200% out of every player and make a difference with captaincy and also is a fantastic wicketkeeper by the way. MS's batting might have gone, but he still remains a fantastic wicketkeeper. Then I agree. But with Morgan, I have my doubts. Yuvraj, your take on this?
About Morgan's form, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I clearly think that he, being a captain, is actually grabbing one very crucial overseas spot
Exactly.
for Kolkata Knight Riders. Because if you look at it, had Shakib been backed a little more, the potential he holds as an all-rounder, be it with fielding, be it with batting, be it bowling, he might have performed a lot better than what Morgan has been contributing to the side until now. So I think yes, on neutral terms, as an IPL fan and not someone who supports the other team and not Kolkata Knight Riders, I would definitely want Morgan to step out as a player from the playing 11, no matter how crucial the stage is. But his inclusion is only causing loss to their batting.
No, and it's interesting to look at that as well, Charlene, also to get your perspective as a Knight Riders fan. On the one hand, they have won, they've only lost one game. They're winning games on this in the second part. Morgan's form is a concern. He's occupying a very important middle order position. MS Dhoni is a floater. He needs, he can send Bravo and Jadeja ahead of him, Sam Curran whenever he's playing. So does that make it a bit of a catch-22 situation for the Knight Riders as well? Not scoring runs, but the team is winning, and then suddenly from the outside you're saying, okay, he's leading teams to victories, but the clear picture is something quite the opposite.
Yeah. So basically, Morgan has to perform. Right now, a Ben Cutting would be a good choice, but the number four slot will be a vacant spot. So maybe a Ritesh Rana can take that spot and finish off with a Ben Cutting, Russell, and a Shakib and a DK. So we get four power hitters. And Ben Cutting's form is unknown for us. Shakib Al Hasan in the first leg was very poor with the performance. So gambling on Shakib Al Hasan is also a bit dicey. But yeah, Shakib can give you 4 overs. Yeah, and they can play an extra batter. Sandeep Warrior or a Prasidh Krishna with the Indian bowling contingent, it's a very bad call because we don't have an experienced Indian bowler. Yeah, so Shakib, Ben Cutting, Russell, a Lockie Ferguson, Sunil Narayan, and Varun Chakravarti. These six bowling options, including Venkatesh Iyer. So the bowling holes are covered. They can play an extra Indian batter as well. Maybe you can say Karun Nair if a Morgan doesn't play.
Yeah.
You replace a Saudi with a Lockie Ferguson and Cutting and Shakib come in for Morgan and Russell. If Russell is not playing, if Russell is playing, then Cutting sits out. So this
Right.
this can be a solution for the team.
No, but even with Russell Boria, he looked much fitter in the earlier part of the resumption, but his body language, again, I mean, I don't want to jump the gun. From the outside, his body language almost looks like he's not interested. He's just so far distant from what's going on. Do you think you get that feeling from Brett Russell even if he plays?
No, at least in the first couple of games he looked fired up to me. That chase where he beat Nitish Rana to the boundary, I thought was not something I've seen of him. The way he bowled AB de Villiers was an extraordinarily fantastic goal. The way he delivered against some of the other teams with the short stuff was also impressive. His fielding at the boundary line was impressive. I thought this was a very different Andre Russell. So I thought Kolkata has got its mojo back, and Russell is an important call in that team. So this injury is critical. Having said that, Shakib Al Hasan first leg, Kolkata Knight Riders first leg, and Shakib Al Hasan first leg is also the same. So not necessarily will he perform badly here. And he's a quality act. Look at his recent effort for Bangladesh. It's very good. It's not bad at all. So Kolkata does have the firepower. I am worried about Russell's injury because if Kolkata has to win the tournament, playoffs, you need Russell. Do they have a replacement for somebody as good as Andre Russell? No. What Kolkata has actually benefited from is a serious improvement in Sunil Narayan's form. Sunil Narayan wasn't getting wickets. All of a sudden, he started to deliver. He started to deliver with both bat and ball, and that's a big plus because another key act in this Knight Riders team is Sunil Narayan.
Definitely. We'll take some questions as well from the audience. Aniket Thane has a question for you, Boria. Love your show, Boria. Why exactly the last two league matches scheduled at 7:30? We've discussed that, but what he's asking is, don't you think it's a bit of a disappointment for the broadcasters and viewers
It
and
is.
fans?
It is. I mean, one match you will obviously not get the same amount of money. On Hotstar, you've got multiple feeds. Star also has multiple feeds, so you will have to go down that route. But you are trying to you're trying to give it, make it a level playing field for all teams. That's what you've done. So I have no qualms with it. I actually feel it's a good call by the board to ensure that it's a level playing field and no team takes advantage.
Right. A question again for Yuvraj from Ashish. Oh, does Nicholas couldn't contribute enough for Punjab to pick him in the top four overseas in the team? Shahrukh could play and maybe they can get it Chris Jordan. Yuvraj.
See, as far as Nicholas Puran's form is concerned, one of our replacements I think were very unnecessary in the mid-season before it was about to commence, and that was Adil Rashid. we badly required one more overseas batsman except Aiden Markram, because we always had surplus of spinners. We had Murugan Ashwin, we have Harpreet Brar, we have Ravi Bishnoi, so we did not require someone like Adil Rashid. So one proper overseas batsman in place of Adil Rashid would have set things apart for us. And because Nicholas Pooran is not delivering, we could have had one more option to replace him in the middle order. But thankfully, Eden Markram has been delivering for us, and that has been a huge plus point for us.
Right. To a couple of other questions also. Dave Mehta is asking Shalin, DK at 7, isn't it too low for him to bat in a T20 game? The batting position.
Yeah, DK himself has said that he wants the finishing role. He himself said that give me less number of overs and I can perform the best. Because against the spinners he started to struggle, but against the pacers he can use his lap shots, his reverse ones. Against the pacers he's been more comfortable with. Against the spin he has not been comfortable with. So he said, give me those last 5 overs and I'll be your finisher. DK has used that mojo which Dhoni is using. He's following his mentor's footsteps.
Right, Boria, there's a question on Morgan. I know we discussed his captaincy in depth, but where did I lose the question? Right? Yogesh PV, I think, is asking. Yogesh PV is asking, does Morgan take instinctive calls on the field except analysis? I think what he's asking is, does he rely a lot on external analysis before he gets on the field?
See, we are not Morgan, but having said that, it looks that way. That it's a set pattern. If you actually see, there are certain changes. Like he had the formula with Russell. The moment that formula went haywire, what is his research? His research should have told him that Prasidh Krishna cannot or should not be the go-to bowler when you have a Sunil Narine. Right? So maybe the idea was a fast bowler for a fast bowler. That's what it is. So he went for a fast bowler. The thing should have been go with your best bowler, which is Sunil Narine, and then give Prasidh that cushion in the final over. I've seen that kind of a decision making, but again, we are not in a position to come, sort of guarantee, say that, oh, he depends on analysts. Obviously not, but let's face it, is Morgan looking the best captain in this competition? The answer is a flat no.
Right, absolutely. But Yuvraj, talking of the Punjab lineup, then Mohammad Shami's form, overall not just a concern for Punjab but also for India heading into the World Cup. But again, his record against Rahul Tripathi's had some success against Punjab Kings. Would you see him being held back? And as an India fan, obviously it will be also interesting to see how Shami shapes up in a big game. Can he deliver under pressure? Really do that job for Punjab in the death overs and see how it goes from there.
Absolutely, yes. Because if you look at our last game against KKR in UAE, Mohammad Shami had a very crucial role to play. He bagged a couple of wickets in the power play itself when we were playing KKR, and that was our fifth win on the trot last year. So I think yes, he does. He does have like not a very good record against KKR. We saw him getting bashed by Andre Russell back in 2019 at the 18 Gardens. Being a super fan, I can never forget those sixes over long on and long off. But yeah, I mean, being a Team India fan as well, I'm surely seeking how Mohammad Shami shapes up as a fast bowler, as one of the most key players of the entire of Punjab squad, as well as the Indian squad. So I do expect some real genius of a masterclass of bowling from his side tonight, and
Right.
I hope he carries his form forward to the T20 World Cup as well.
Right. Pawan Suresh is asking about India's performance in the pink ball test match. We discussed that right at the start of the show, and also Poonam Raut's dismissal, Smriti Mandana's 100. Boria has done a special show at the start of the pink ball test matches. We'll continue to cover that. But there is one question for you, Charlene. People are talking about whether they should give the captaincy to Gill in the coming days, like Delhi has done with Pant, and that is paying dividends already. But there is a question from Abhik Chatterjee. He's asking, don't you think Mavi is a better replacement than for Sandeep or Krishna? He's asking if is he a better choice than these two?
Yes, obviously, Shivam Mavi is a better choice than a Prasidh Krishna or a Sandeep Warrior. Although Sandeep Warrior has had shown some good signs in the performance in the past, but Shivam Mavi is a quality player, and obviously he should get a chance ahead because of his injuries and all. He hasn't got those many chances to prove his mettle in the team. So right now we don't know whether Shivam Mavi is actually injured or how much fit to participate in the match. So that depends upon the fitness of Shivam Mavi. If he's fit, he should straight away fit in the side because he's a good bowler. He has good variations and he can be a good bat at the end, at number 9, number 10, maybe a slogger
Right.
if needed.
Right. Interesting. Boria, your fantasy 11 is this? What would your fantasy 11 look like for tonight?
I've gone with Kolkata. I've gone with Kolkata, except certain players of the Punjab side absolutely makes it. Arshdeep Singh, first person I picked up. Ravi Bishnoi, if they play him as a slider, that's how they should play him. These are the two bowlers I've kept in the side, Ravi Bishnoi and Arshdeep Singh. Obviously, I've kept KL Rahul. These are the three guys I've 1, 2, 3 from Punjab with these three. I want to see if Mayank plays. If Mayank plays, then I'm going to include Mayank. If Mayank doesn't play, then obviously it sort of becomes a little haywire for me for the fourth Punjab player, and it has to be Aiden Markram. I mean there is no other choice rather than Aiden Markram. For Kolkata, it's pretty much obvious who the top four are. All top four make it to my team: Gill, Tripathi, Venkatesh Iyer, and Nitish Rana. And then among the bowlers, if Lockie Ferguson plays, absolutely Lockie Ferguson, Sunil Narayan, and Varun Chakravarti, assuming Andre Russell is not playing. If Andre Russell is playing, then I drop one of the batsmen, probably Nitish Rana, and get Andre Russell. That's what my fantasy team
And
is.
would be a captain, vice captain there?
I've gone with Venkatesh Iyer as captain. I've gone
Okay.
with Venkatesh Iyer as captain, given the way he's performing. Both with bat and ball, he's giving me something for sure. And I've gone with KL Rahul as vice captain again, because it's a double thing. He's wicket keeper, so he will give me some extra points there, plus his batting. So I've gone with Venkatesh Iyer as captain and KL Rahul as vice captain.
Right. And that's why you need to watch sports today. Not only do we analyze the game with fans, but you also get this masterclass on fantasy cricket. Very interesting. Yuvraj, but a word on Ravi Bishnoi. Boria has him in his fantasy 11. There's been a lot of talk around Ravi Bishnoi. Very impressive, young guy, just going out there. What is your take on him? He's Boria made that point about Ravi Bishnoi. I think a lot of batsmen are playing him the wrong way, playing him for the leg spin and leg break probably. But what's your take on it?
Indeed, a very special member of the squad. If you look at his performances since the day he debuted back in 2020, his performances has been like really very special. He takes crucial breakthroughs alongside someone as good as Arshdeep. So these two youngsters of our side have been very special since the outset. They've been performing for us, and I was like really excited to have someone like a Ravi Bishnoi under us when I knew that Anil Kumble was about to coach us. And looking at Bishnoi's performances at the Under 19 World Cup, he was one of my picks for the auction, and I was thrilled when he was picked by Punjab for about 5 CR, as far as I remember. And yeah, he's been delivering since then. It's very economical with the ball, picks crucial wickets, bowls like beautiful sliders, barely goes for runs. So yeah, all in all, he's a very special member of the BBKS squad.
And like Punjab, Kolkata Knight Riders have also done that a lot. They've invested in youth. Varun Chakravarti, when not many people knew about him, Prasadh Krishna, Sandeep Auri, Shivam Mavi after their under 19 performances, and Shubman Gill as well from that team. And then you have Venkatesh Iyer suddenly making news. This is a great thing about the KKR team as well. Apart from you take Morgan's captaincy out of the equation, you have a good set of youngsters ready to deliver for the next few years. Charlotte.
Yeah. Varun Chakravarti, first of all, I would like to thank the Punjab team management for letting Varun Chakravarti go off, because in the last auction we were also looking for Varun Chakravarti, but Punjab slightly won the bid and they got Varun Chakravarti. Unluckily, he got injured. He got injured and he didn't participate from there on. And there they dropped Varun Chakravarti, and we saw the talent in Varun Chakravarti because Dinesh Karthik knows, because he plays in Tamil Nadu with him. So he spotted the talent. He got Varun Chakravarti. Venkatesh Iyer was a pack of surprise. We didn't know. So the talent which we have, a Shubman Gill, for example, as we were telling that he should play freely, just because there was no support from the other end, he was going conservative. So now that he has a Venkatesh Iyer who is saying, brother, you go, you fire, I'm also firing. So he's got that license to play freely, which is allowing him to express himself and get those quick runs. Even though he's getting out is not a concern for us, because a Nitish Rana is there, a Rahul Tripathi is there, a Sunil Narayan is firing, a DK is firing. So the batting order altogether looks a different thing now after a
Right.
Shubman Gill who's giving a fiery start. So the pressure of the middle order is getting eased off. Andrew Russell, even if he comes at six, he can tong the ball from the word go. Even if he gets out, we know that Shubman Gill has provided some base for the other batsmen. Yeah, every day a batsman doesn't have a day. a good day
Right.
at the field. So if a Shubman Gill provides that start, a Sunil Narayan can come as a pinch hitter. If a Morgan doesn't play, we can play a Karun Nair who can look the innings after if there are quick wickets in.
Right, there's need for much flexibility there as well. Tushar Nikam, Moria, before we go, we have time for one quick question. Tushar Nikam is asking, last year Punjab won 5 games out of 5 with their bowling perform and the bowling bowlers performed really well. What is the reason we were not able to stick with the same bowling combination this season?
Baffling. I mean, some of the calls that we have seen from IPL franchises, Hyderabad Sunrisers not able to get one fellow to become a regular, whether it's Virat Singh, Samar, Abhishek Sharma, uh, anybody for that matter, Khalil. None of their players became a permanent fixture. If you take a look at Punjab, the youngsters, now Arshdeep Singh is finally becoming a fixture, so much so that I think come World Cup 22 in Australia, the way these guys are bowling, Arshdeep Singh and some of the Rajasthan youngsters, these guys can actually come up the ladder with a Bhuvaneshwar Kumar struggling, genuinely struggling. I do see, plus it's left arm, plus it's the angle, young man, I see there a lot of grooming happening. You are seeing a core forming. Mohammad Shami and Arshdeep Singh, a Harpreet Brar and a Ravi Bishnoi, for example, is that core as far as the Punjab team is concerned. And that's good to see. Will they persist with it? One has to see, because in franchise cricket, people just change, like you change clothes. That's not how cricket should happen. That's a problem. But I'm now starting to see a core being formed in the Punjab team. Today, no Gale. So who comes in there is also a question, or what they do with that position. So important match. I still think Kolkata, because the depth of that Kolkata team, like Shalin said, all of a sudden everyone's performing. Punjab is still individual dependent. KL Rahul, Mayank Agarwal and Aiden Markram, to a degree Arshdeep Singh and Mohammad Shah. So it's a team versus an individual flair kind of battle.
Right. Neeraj Kumar Maurya is asking, can this match benefit Mumbai Indians? It definitely can if Punjab beat Kolkata Knight Riders and beat them with a big margin, because both of them are at equal points, equal number of matches, but KKR's net run rate is just so much more superior. But before we go, Yuvraj, your man of the match, if Punjab were to win, who would be your player?
Definitely KL Rahul, because one big innings is due from him. He has not performed for us in the last 2 games. He's been looking a little rusty with the bat, but the potential he holds, if he plays with the right intent, the right aggression, the exact aggression that's needed as a captain. You step your front foot forward and then go for sixes. But then yes, he has the responsibility of the entire batting lineup, because most of the times when Mayank and Rahul set the pace right for us, the middle order fails. So yeah, he plays with immense pressure, but I don't think so he needs to play with that pressure. We almost have nothing to lose from here, so yeah, just go out there and be the KL Rahul we all know since 2018, since 2019. And
Right.
yeah, that's what I'm expecting from him. And yes, as we talked about Morgan and Dhoni, see, T20 being a very different format, captaincy is a skill that's very complex of a task to master. And I think there are very few captains who've been able to do so. Of course, MS Dhoni being one of them, Rohit Sharma being one of them. Not everyone is able to master the task of captaincy in T20 cricket. So
Right.
yeah, if you look at Dhoni's decision making last night, he this is what he gets paid for in the IPL. His mind is what he gets paid for. He took a little single in the last few balls just to get Raidu on strike, because he knows that in 2021 Raidu holds more potential than him to finish the game. So what he cares about is the team's victory and not his individual performance.
Right.
So I think
Right.
that is what sets the legends apart from regular T20 captains. But I truly hope KL Rahul would definitely bloom from here and go on to becoming a better, probably a legend for this franchise in years to come.
Absolutely, he has the makings. He definitely has the makings, and hopefully he'll learn from MS Dhoni. He's been around MS Dhoni as well for a while. Shalin, your take on the Knight Riders man of the match if they were to win tonight?
Yeah, it's obviously Sunil Narayan because he's had better records against Punjab. Beat KL Rahul, beat Mayank Agarwal, beat Chris Gale, beat Nicholas Puran. The top four batters of the Punjab team. Aiden Makram will be a mystery right now. How a record he'll have against Aiden Makram, how he plays spin. But these top four batters have been Sunil Narayan strike wickets, and
Yeah.
also there's a role reversal whereas Shubman Gill and KL Rahul is concerned. KL Rahul from being an aggressor has been conservative, and now Shubman Gill from being a conservative has gone aggressive. So the thing that is hurting Punjab is KL Rahul being conservative, and the thing KKR is benefiting from is Shubman Gill being the aggressor. And if KKR get a good total on board batting first, Sunil Narayan obviously has the upper hand on the Punjab's batting. Even if KKR have to chase, they don't have a Russell like the last match they didn't have. They have the batting depth. So I'll bet on Narayan because he's good with the ball and he's come good with the bat as well, as we saw against a quality bowling lineup like a Delhi Capitals who had Rabada, Notia, Ashwin, Akshar. Against them, he's clobbered them. A 21 of 10. So my bet will be Sunil Narayan.
Right. We'll hope for, we'll wait for to see. We'll wait and see what comes of it. But Boria, a lot of questions on who the player retentions could be for going ahead to the next auction. Maybe we could do a special show after the IPL is over and look at some of the players around and see who can be retained. There are some obvious choices for some teams, but we'll see. We'll do it after the IPL, right? We'll get to that. We'll get to that as well. But thank you so much again for joining us, Boria. Of course, Boria and I will come back to you after the game. Shalin and Yuvraj will be back with us. We'll figure out whose
Yeah.
prediction has turned out to be right. This is a big game. Somebody asked, can this game benefit Mumbai Indians as well? It definitely can. Kolkata Knight Riders. In that case, Punjab Kings will have to beat the Knight Riders by a big, big margin. Thank you so much for joining us. Do subscribe to Sports Today. Have a good evening. We'll come back to you right at the end of this game.